So we're just going to run over a few things sort of covered, but more information on the adrenaline dump when you're coming up to confrontation. Again, you generally get the 3-second fight today. It will start with dialogue, someone will come up to you and ask a question, and then I would go first. Again, you've got the three sort of fights. The ambush fight, which hopefully you're switched on, your awareness will turn off a lot of that, you're switched on, you're a bit aware of your environment. And you've also got the match fight, which doesn't always happen now and then, because there's always the threat of other people jumping in, but again, that is one of them. And also the 3-second fight. So you have the ambush fight, the match fight, and the 3-second fight. The ambush fight hopefully switched off by your colour coding. So the best way to explain it is old marksmen used to use this coding system, and it starts in sort of white. White is, say, you're meditating or you're at home watching the telly, you're relaxing, whatever. That's white code. Generally slightly switched onto your environment, just being a bit aware, not, it verges on paranoia, but again, it's better to be aware. Gut feelings, things like that come into play. If you're slightly weary of somewhere, it's instinct, that sort of thing. Just being aware of your surroundings. Maybe not walking straight through the park last thing at night. Maybe taking a longer way around. Stuff like that. Real simple stuff. Just being switched on to your environment and being a bit aware, really. Generally, 360 degrees around your awareness, Zanshin, as it's been called. But again, you can't walk around like this, you know what I mean? You're probably going to attract it if you like that. But it's just, if you think something's a bit dodgy, you might be a little bit switched on, as it were. So that's your yellow code. If someone's come up to you and you think it might go off and you're talking it down with the fence, etc., talking hands, the fence, discussed in the other videos, you might be on orange code, this might go off, etc. Again, I generally said sort of twice on the fence, then you've got to go first. You ask a question, you leave a blind second and you go first straight away. Again, you would be in orange code until you think it's really time to go, really, it's definitely going to go. It might be they push the hand out of the way straight away, so you have to go first, there's no second time on the fence. So you are in red code, you're ready to go. Again, you'll have a narrowed state of awareness. Some people dump adrenaline, and they generally say there's fight or flight. It's the 3 F's really. There's fight or flight or freeze. You see sort of sticky feet syndrome sometimes with people. Shall I, shan't I? That sort of thing. But you can just freeze, and that's what you don't want really. So the fence is to give you a sort of invisible barrier between you and them, and just awareness of range, etc., without being a guard. So yeah, that's covering that. But there are sort of more aggressive fences. The time you're going to go, you want to be very submissive, as if you're not going to go. You want to switch off their adrenaline. So really, like, I don't want to know, why are you picking on me? They might be down the pub celebrating, and that's the time when you want to sort of act very submissive. You might have done all the talking down, ballooning, aggressive stuff. Again, but the time when you want to be very submissive and very victim-like is just before you're going to go. The rest of the stuff is to make you look less victim-like. But yeah, that's the time you really want to be submissive. Even just digressing slightly, it's slightly different with weapon defences like knife and gun. You generally go mid-sentence, and it's even more cowardly, especially if someone's got a gun to your head there, you're like, sorry, you're really like cowardly. But again, this fence is slightly different, when you're dealing with preemption, striking first. It might be that you think they've got, a weapon, they might have reached in the back of their pocket, and bang, you go from then. So it could cross over this, but that's the time you'll be very submissive and slightly sort of cowardly, I don't want to know, question, question, go in with a question. I mean, that's the laser of the human consciousness, you know, it just gives you that blind second to go in. But yeah, it's got to be very submissive then. But there are the other end of the scale where you want to sort of balloon and, you know, act aggressive and see if you can get away with blagging it basically, but not really blagging it really, because you've got to have that intent to back it up. If you haven't, they'll read it straight away, and you don't want to be sort of like one of them dogs chasing a fire engine. They get the fire engine, they don't know what to do with it, you know. So you don't want to be like that. So when it kicks off, you know, you're going to have to back it up. So you have to have that. This is only if you can't run. You know, you're either trying to talk it down, you're trying ballooning, you know, to psych them out, etc. I mean, ballooning might be a really aggressive fence like that. You'd make, because normally you sort of make yourself look sort of quite small and submissive at last minute. So this one you might want to go the other way, start ballooning and neck pecking. You're tapping into their psychology. You really want to be looking at their chest most of the time. You don't want to be encouraging this to kick off. You want to be looking at their chest. If you go straight away looking at the eyes, that's going to come to here, and you're both going to come to here. It's like a magnet. You're going to be here. You see a lot of footballers sort of there in this position. But if you look at yourself, your arms are splayed here, you're up on your tiptoes, the worst possible position to be in. Someone just push you over, and yeah, you don't want to be there. So you have this control of range, and, you know, be very aggressive if you can, if you're trying to balloon. I mean, sometimes the pacing instinct, you know, consequence can be as good as a kick in the bollocks, so saying this and that, you know, and pacing, this sort of pacing instinct. You see it in animals. You see animals ballooning and trying to make themselves look bigger. I think there's some fish, I mean, pufferfish or some crap like that, I don't know what it is, but again, they try and make themselves bigger to put off the prey, and that's what we're coming down to really. If that hasn't worked, you know, you've got no choice, you've got to go first. And, you know, this is putting you in a better position to go first. So, again, it's sort of artifice, that sort of stuff. I mean, being a sort of martial artist myself, into combat sports, you are at advantage in many ways, but in a lot of other ways, you know too much. I mean, cognitive lists at this point are not very good. So you might know 100 different moves, you know, and if you've got all that list of them in there, that's time. It's a 3-second fight, remember, yeah, that's gone. Where Mr. Horrible Person, Street Fighter, whatever he is, won't even have to think like that. He'll have one move, and he's probably put people out, you know, many times. Especially muggers, they're professional. They're professional at what they do. You know, they know what to do. Ask the time, suss you out, bang. You know, they're professional at what they do. So it's just tapping into this criminology and this psychology and just being aware of it. I mean, you know, give them your money. You know what I mean, and get the fuck out there. You know, that's the best thing. It's the best defence. But cognitive lists can be a disadvantage. So you've got to really work a protocol. You know what to do, you know, and go straight away. Many people have gone through like these, you know, I don't know, criminals, whatever you want to call them. They have gone through many fights with one move, and that's all they need, and it's worked many times, you know. And it's just a protocol. They don't have to be taught it; they just know it. So there's many different things you can do. I mean, it's just a sort of transgression of energy, really, just transforming that energy, because it just burns you up and frees you, you know, and that's what you don't want. Animals do that in the wild, you know, they tend to freeze sometimes. That's definitely what you don't want. I mean, you've tried everything, then it's time to go. I mean, naked aggression, if you can train with naked aggression, shouting, screaming, swearing, you know, because they will use that like a weapon, swearing, monosyllabic type swearing, you know, yeah, and, you know, etc. They will use that like a weapon to put you in adrenaline dump and scare the shit out of you, basically, and make you freeze. So it's good to train with that, because you become acclimatised to it. I mean, even sort of things like, yeah, you see people do this sort of stuff, you know, hold my coat, yeah, that's like a psychological fence. So there's many different fences, but there could be, you know, when you're going to preempt, there could be sort of the Lalgar stuff to the throat, stuff like that. Or I've gone for a lot on the other videos, different strikes and that. Could be sort of a larynx grab, whatever, a lot of Lalgar stuff to the throat, shuto to the throat, all sorts. But obviously, if the situation demands it, then you know that's your choice. But sometimes when you're sort of coming up to stance up, it can sort of give away the game a little bit, make people flinch. Generally, action is faster than reaction. So I mean, you've got, you know, a martial art built up on the flinch response, which is a very good one. And again, you know, that's great. It might work, but you don't really want to be hanging around to block stuff, really. You want to be, if you can, hitting first and getting out there very quick. So you're in a bad place already if you're thinking of blocking stuff and defending first. So yeah, the key of the game is to get in hard and get in first. Take them off the planet if you can and get out there, hit and run. But again, I mean, you want to be sort of slightly concealed with your shot. I mean, if you think of sort of throwing a stone, you'd come back first. In martial arts, that would be sort of giving away the game, making someone flinch. So if you're down here, generally people's vision is here, you might want to sort of just come back first. Again, sticking your hip forward. Peter Considine does a lot of this double hip stuff, and it just makes sense. You sort of like come forward with the hip here, and then the punch will follow. So again, if you're going to throw a stone, you come back and then you throw. Again, like a discus, you know, to get that economy, that leverage, you know. So again, you might want to sort of come back, stick the hip forward, and then come in bang, you know, like that. Or you could be walking off to the side even with the same move. You know, the hip goes forward first, and the arm just follows. Elbow to here, bang. Because if you're talking really of preempting someone with a body shot, just think they might be in a coat, you know, it could even be in a helmet. You know, you have to think of something else. So again, there's sort of what if situations. Dave Taunton talks about a lot of that sort of stuff. But again, you have to adapt to that situation. But if you're using an elbow as a preemptive strike, you're going to be to the side of someone, out of their vision. You know, maybe even you're just going to walk off or something, or a body shot. You know, that's just another thing you could do. You've got to drill all this in your training, really. You can't go, oh, I know all these things. You've got to drill it with talking as well, dialogue as well. Remember, it's deception, distraction, destruction. But first it's dialogue. Dialogue, deception, distraction, destruction. So you have to train, you have to talk to your bag, basically. If you're on the bag, be talking to it. Again, blind second and go first. There'll be lots of things that come up in your head, like we've been taught at a young age not to hit first. We're a bully if we hit first, and they are right to a degree, but you know, in this situation you've got to hit first. Law, you've got law in your head, you know, common law and all other sorts of laws, you know, but again, you know, you're done on what you say, and if you've done the right thing, you try to talk it down, try to do everything to avoid a fight, you know, you've got to hit someone as hard as you can and get out there quick as you can. That's the game, really. So that's where you're at with it. Yeah, that's about it really there with the fences. Brilliant. Bang.